Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? So I'm exhausted. I'm really, really tired, and I'll tell you why in just a second. And I've also had a very long day today. So I wanted to make sure that I got on here and vlogged before I lay down and take a nap, because I need a much needed nap here in just a little bit. But before I do that, I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys for a little bit. I don't know how long I'm going to vlog today. So, and the reason I'm vlogging inside is because I'm getting ready to start uploading a video that I just filmed for my Peter Monn channel. But outside, they're going from yard to yard to yard, and they're trimming like the edges of the yards, the lawns. And so it's like really loud out there right now, and I didn't know if you guys would be able to hear me or not. So, yeah, so I was like, I'll just start filming inside, and then I think I can't hear them anymore, so maybe they stopped. I don't know. So it is currently 5:53 p.m. and it has been really, really nice today. I think it was like 88 today or something like that. Actually, I should just like look it up on the online, shouldn't I? Instead of looking at the Weather Channel like I usually do, let's look up Indianapolis. Hold on a second. Indianapolis weather now. Let's see what it says for temperature. 86 degrees, it says. Tomorrow, 90 degrees. And tomorrow, it looks like it's supposed to be sunny as well. So maybe Caroline and I, instead of running errands tomorrow, will have a little bit of a pool day. We'll have to see what the weather's like. I'll tell Caroline to bring her suit, because she's always like, you didn't tell me to bring my suit. So I'll tell her to bring her suit. But anyway, so that's why I'm filming it in here instead of outside. Well, hi, honey. You want to say hello to the people? Hold on just a second. Let me pick you up. Come here. He said, I want to say hi to everybody. Did you just have your dinner? He said, I just had my dinner, and it was delicious. I just came upstairs from eating my dinner. Well, you felt like quite the movie star yesterday, didn't you? He goes, I didn't feel like the movie star. I am the movie star. Don't worry about me. I'm my own person. I have a SAG card. I've done many roles. What roles have you done? Well, I played Toto on Broadway. Toto on Broadway, yes. I almost won a Tony Award for it. You won a Tony Award for playing Toto on Broadway? He said, don't you think I look just like Toto? No, you don't look just like Toto. But I was saying something to Alex the other day about Toto. Toto. And Alex, what did he called him, like Go-Go or something like that. I can't remember what he called him, but it was so funny. But anyway, so me being tired. Let's talk about me being tired. So last night, I was attempting to lay down and take a nap, but I couldn't really fall asleep, and I was so tired. And so I just kind of lay there in bed while Alex was on his TikTok and stuff like that. And this was at about 10 o'clock. Oh, we watched the Real Housewives of Atlanta while we both ate. He made a huge salad, and I got piata. And so we watched Real Housewives of Atlanta, and then afterwards I talked to Tanya, because Tanya had asked me if I wanted to go to a meeting today and then like run around and then go to the pool and take some lunch to the pool. And when she had asked me earlier at like 5 or 6, I don't know when it was after I vlogged, but anyway, I said, well, let me think about it for a few hours. Well, I was getting ready to lay down. I thought I was gonna lay down for a couple hours, and I thought, okay, if I oversleep, like I don't want to text her at 1:30 in the morning, like I want her to be able to plan her day for tomorrow. So I called her and I said, like, what time would you, because she had said, like, you can Uber over here and then we'll, like, go to the meeting and whatever. And I said, okay, because she couldn't go to a meeting tonight. And so I said, what time do you want me to be at your house tomorrow? And she said, I don't know, like 11:30 or something like that. And I said, okay. So, because I just wanted to make sure that, like, we had plans so that she could plan ahead for it and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, is this done? Hold on a second. This is done. So anyway, I, went upstairs, and after I talked to Tanya, and I laid down, and then Alex was looking at TikToks, but then he like went to bed really quick, and so he turned on the Alexa thing, you know, the thunderstorm sounds or whatever, and I was laying there, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like fall asleep if I, you know, lay here much longer, like I'm gonna fall deep asleep, and I was like, I can either go to bed now. And it was, like I said, like 10:15 at this point. I was like, I can either go to bed now, and if I do, I'm going to wake up really, really early. Or I can go watch, like, a show or two and then get up and then try to go to bed, because I wanted to try to take that medicine last night to see if it worked that my doctor gave me. And it's, you know, it's a medicine that we used to, well, the doctors used to prescribe to patients when I worked in treatment. It's trazodone, and I'm on a really low dose of it, like the lowest dose you can possibly be. And when I talked to my doctor about it, I said, because it's like one of the safest things for addicts and alcoholics in recovery to use. It's not habit forming or anything like that. And so I said, you know, I'm taking these herbal supplements, and he was like, yeah. And he was like, and I said, one's got like magnesium and valerian root in it and stuff like that. And I said, the other one, hold on just a second. And I said, the other one has melatonin in it. And I said, you know, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. I said, it's just like completely random. And he was like, okay. And I said, there's just really no rhyme or reason to if it works or not. And he was like, okay. And so I said, you know, like, can you help me? Like, is there something that you can prescribe that's not habit forming? I mean, I can't take like a Valium or something like that, right? And he was like, yeah, it's like, you know, and I had heard about trazodone when I worked in treatment and stuff like that, but I'd never taken it. So I said, like, I don't want to feel like funny the next morning. Like, I don't want to feel like I just came out of like a 2-week sleep. He's like, well, I do have, you know, some patients that like it really affects them like that, but I'm putting you on a low enough dose that I don't think that'll happen. He goes, but it will make you feel drowsy. And I said, okay. And he goes, like, you take it like 20 minutes before you go to bed, 20 or 30 minutes before you go to bed. And he goes, I can tell you, like, 20 minutes into it, you're going to start feeling really tired. Like, you're going to be ready to go to sleep. And I said, okay. And he goes, so just take it 20 minutes before. And I told him about the sleepy time tea. And he's like, you can drink the sleepy time tea with it. That's totally fine. That'll probably even help more. And he said, then by the time that you get upstairs, he's like, you'll be ready to just, like, put your head on the pillow and fall asleep. And I was like, okay. Because, I mean, this has been now, I don't know, like, I mean, I'm really struggling with the sleep stuff. And I was telling Tanya today, we were talking about it, and she said, you know, like, I don't know a lot of people in recovery that have good sleep patterns, which I think is true. Like, I've never, like, ever since I've been sober, and you know, I can remember when I was in treatment, the doctor saying to me, like, when you drink or use drugs a lot, like, you really mess up, like, your internal clock and things like that. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, because a lot of people use drugs and alcohol to fall asleep, or they pass out like I did, or black out or whatever, you know, like, and then you eventually pass out. Which is what happened to me for like the last 2 years that I was, you know, using, was that every night that I went to sleep I was passing out, you know? And so when I got sober, I would have a difficult time falling asleep, but it would be like 30 minutes of me laying there and kind of spinning in my head. Now it's like 2-3 hours. Like, I mean, it's a lot. And it's starting to happen every night. And the over-the-counter sleep aids are not really helping, and a whole lot of stuff like that. So anyway, so he was like, no, this will really help, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. So I went to take that last night. So I got up, and Mel had texted me and asked me if I had watched, hold on just a second. Shh, I'm gonna make sure that I can upload this. She had asked me if I had watched Last Call yet, which just came out on HBO Max, which I guess is called Max now. And I was, I didn't want to text her back because she goes to bed early sometimes. So I didn't text her back, but I noticed that I had seen it already, and I wanted to watch. I mean, I hadn't seen it. I had seen that they had just released it on Max, HBO Max. But anyway, and I wanted to see it. And so, I kind of planned to watch it anyway. But there was only one episode out, and so like I Google searched it and said there was going to be 4 episodes, and they're releasing them every Sunday. So Last Call is about a serial killer in New York in like the early 90s that was killing mostly closeted older gay men, and many of which were married and had kids and things like that. And they actually even kind of used part of it in the last American Horror Story. And so we actually read the book Last Call for our True Crime Book Club, when it first came out, and like worked with the publisher and the author and whatever. And it was like they gave us like, sent us some books and stuff like that. And so we had already, like, we knew the whole story. I have to tell you, and I feel like I have, oh, Alex just texted me, hold on a second. I feel like I've watched like a documentary about it, because I remember, maybe at the time I watched some kind of documentary about it, I don't know. When he comes into the garage, I will when he gets into the garage, I will take the vlog outside so that he can hang out here and do whatever he wants to do. Oh, he just hearted. I said, okay, babe, vlogging. Because he said, on my way home, babe. So, I remember reading the book, and the book was okay. I didn't think it was like the greatest book in the entire world, but I thought it was okay. And then I remember like I think I watched some kind of documentary or something about it, because one of the people, this Peter guy that was murdered, I feel like I remember them talking specifically about him in some documentary that I watched. So, yeah, so I watched the first episode. It was very, very well done. Very interesting. And really made me think a lot about, like, you know, it was interesting because they were talking about, they talk a lot about, the Gay and Lesbian Anti-Violence Project in New York City, and they talked about, like, that, like, these two guys, when they met, like, they met in the, like, the late 60s, and that people didn't really come out until after Stonewall, and even then, like, many people didn't come out. You know, Stonewall was in, I believe, 69. I should actually look that up so I make sure that I'm not... yeah, June 28th, 1969. So, which was the day before my birthday. I think it was also the day that Judy Garland died. Judy Garland. Oh, June 22nd, 1969. So it's like a week before. I don't know why I thought for some reason that she died on the day of Stonewall. Something about Stonewall and her death, like somebody has said something to me about in the past. But, you know, I was thinking about that because they were saying that, you know, like not a lot of people were out then, and this one guy that they interview in the show, he says, and none of this that I'm telling you is going to ruin the show for you, but he says, you know, before then, there were like 10 people that were out, and to even think about coming out was like insanity. Well, I was born in 72, so I was born 3 years later, right? And then I came out when I was 18, which was 1990, and you know, that was, what, 33 years ago? It's so bizarre to me, like, that just 30, I can remember coming out and being so afraid, and I don't know, just met with so much, like, resistance, and people, I don't know, it's like, it just, I mean, we've come so far in some ways, but, like, we've fallen so far back in other ways. Like, it makes me sad. I feel like we've taken 10 steps forward and 8 steps back. I just feel like maybe, you know, part of it is, the positive is that people are starting to share their stories publicly, like celebrities and things like that, which I think has helped a lot. And we're more visible now, and there's more organizations and things like that. But I just thought, you know, like I was watching it, and I was telling Tanya this today, it's like, I can't imagine living, I mean, many of these men were like 50, 60 years old and had kids and wives, and were going to the city and going to this gay bar called the Townhouse, where apparently it was for older gay gentlemen and younger gay men that liked older gay gentlemen. And I was just like, you know, I can't imagine, I really can't, I mean, like, when I first came out, I couldn't imagine coming out. Like, that was so terrifying to me, of living out publicly. And now it's like, I can't imagine my life any other way. Like, I can't imagine living my life closeted and not being who I am, and not being able to live my truth and things like that, you know, or not even my truth, just being myself, like being able to spend time. Like, this one guy talks about that he was with this other guy, and then he was married, but he would come to the city, and then they had, like, I mean, they were romantically involved, and then this guy said to him one day, well, I'm getting married because he needed a cover for his job, because he was like a bank president or vice president, I think bank vice president, huge bank, like the Mellon Bank or something like that. He was like the vice president, so he needed to get married for like a cover, right? And the romantic partner, they're like laying in bed, and he's telling the story, he's like, we were like laying in bed, and he said, we weren't talking about like options of like, well, should we come out or anything like that. He goes, you know, I just told him like, good luck. And, you know, and he said to me, like, this doesn't have to be the end of it. Like, we can continue to see each other, which they didn't end up seeing each other after that, you know. I think that's one of the things, you know, we talk a lot about like young kids coming out and, you know, all this kind of stuff. I have a lot of older gay men that contact me, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm older and that's my story and whatever today, but I have a lot of older gay men that contact me, closeted gay men or men that have just come out, and will say, thank you for sharing your story with your husband. Like, it's really inspiring to me, even though I didn't have a difficult coming out experience or whatever, but they'll say, you know, like, I was closeted for so many years and I was so afraid to be who I was, and just seeing you on video talk about your life, like, is so, like, and they typically watch my vlog, which is interesting, and they'll say, I don't even know how I found you, but like, I'm just so thankful that I did, because just to hear somebody like talk so casually about their husband or, you know, whatever, is like, gives me hope that I could one day have that life. I think we don't talk a lot about people that still today are older and live in the closet, and they don't feel like they can come out because of fear of losing their jobs or fear of losing their families. I mean, that's still prominent in this world, you know? So, you know, I don't know. I thought a lot about that. So then I got done watching that episode, and then I talked on the phone. I can't remember for how long, but it was a while. And then I made a cup of sleepy time tea, and I had like 20 minutes left of the documentary The Stroll, which is about trans prostitutes in New York City that worked the Stroll, which I think was like 14th and Christopher Street or something like that, and how like they've redone that whole area, and it's like a really nice area now with nice apartments and stores and whatever. And it was interesting because they were talking about like when when cities like rebuild certain areas, like to some degree you're taking away the history of that area, which I thought was like an interesting point of view, and you're like erasing these people's history. And the other thing that was so interesting to me about these women that were telling their stories of being trans prostitutes was that they were saying, you know, like in the 80s, like today it's a little bit of a different world. I mean, not greatly. I mean, you know, trans women of color are today one of the highest at-risk groups for murder in our country, and the fewest talked about. You know, it's so scary. And this one woman was saying, or a couple of them said something like, you know, you in the 80s, you couldn't get a job at CVS. You couldn't get a job at a shoe store or grocery store or whatever, right? So to support ourselves as trans women, like the only thing that we could do was sex work. And yet it wasn't like we wanted to do it. It wasn't like we were wanting to like go out and do sex work. Like, it was scary. It was risky. Like, many people died. And they talk about a lot of people that were murdered or assaulted. This one woman was stabbed in her neck, and people watched her as she bled out and were clapping and taking pictures and stuff like that because she was trans. It's so sad when you think about that, you know? It's like you forget that this person's a human being. I don't know, it just is disgusting to me. So anyway, but, you know, they were talking about the idea that it wasn't like they asked for those things. Many of these people were kicked out of their homes when they were 12, 14, 15, 16 years old, you know? And they had no other options other than taking to the streets and working and living on the streets. Many of them lived in the streets. Many of them lived in cardboard boxes. Many of them, you know, lived in these like group areas of cardboard boxes and stuff, you know? And I don't know, it's a great documentary. It gives you a completely different perspective, which was the topic of our meeting today, was perspective that we went to. It was a completely different perspective. So, and it's interesting watching it because the majority of these women were working the Stroll like in the late 80s, early 90s. And so I'm watching it and I'm thinking like, that's when I came out, you know, and my coming out, and like when I came out, like I, you know, immediately met a lot of trans people. Most of them in Indianapolis, although I think in retrospect, probably many of them were involved in sex work as well, and I wasn't aware of it because it wasn't like they were being vocal about it. Most of them did drag to pay their bills, but I believe probably many of them were involved in sex work as well. They just didn't talk about it, you know? But like I met a lot of trans people, and in Indianapolis, for me, it seemed like it was different than this story, and so it's, you know, I don't know. And then it's very validating to watch the show. And, you know, this one woman says in there, she said, to be trans, most trans women don't make it past 30, most trans women of color don't make it past 35 or 40. And then you have these women in there that are starting organizations and raising money, and the one that's the director of the documentary, I mean, is trans, and you know, they're like 50, 60 years old, and they're still around. This one woman at the end of it says, you know, I'm 60 and I'm still here, you know, like, and that's an accomplishment in its own. So it's pretty miraculous to watch that. Tanya texted me, I think right before I started that, she couldn't sleep last night either, and she said, forget the Uber, don't Uber to my house. Did I already talk about this? How I was going to take an Uber to Tanya's house, and then we were going to go to a meeting and then go to the pool. Okay, that was what our plan was. So Tanya said, forget the Uber, I'm going to come pick you up, and we're going to go to a different meeting. And I was like, all right, well, this meeting that we went to is at a different club, and I hadn't gone to this meeting since my first 2 years sober. I used to go to this club all the time when I first got sober, and I haven't been there in probably 26 years. So it was so surreal to me to, like, I mean, maybe once in 26 years or twice I've been there, but it's been a long time. So it was so surreal for me to, like, walk back into this clubhouse today and go to this noon meeting. It was so nice of Tanya to come and pick me up. She's like, I'm gonna take the whole day off. We're gonna go to the meeting, and then we're gonna go to the pool, and we're gonna take lunch and all this kind of stuff. So she was so nice to come pick me up. And so we went to this meeting, and there were a lot of newcomers in the meeting, which was great. I always love when there are a lot of, you know, there were people in there that had 70 days and 100 days and 3 months and whatever. You know, it's like, you know, it's kind of like from the mouths of babes, so to speak. Like, you hear so much gratitude from somebody just not picking up today. And it so reminds me and takes me back to my early days of sobriety. And I was sharing that in there, you know, because somebody brought up the topic of perspective, and I was sharing that, like, you know, when I first got sober, like, that, like, my attitude was always, before I got sober, that get off my back. People are always complaining about my drinking and using. People are always, you know, saying, you know, you do this. And I'm like, I don't have a problem. You have a problem with what I'm doing, blah, 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 whatever. Leave me alone. Stop, you know, talking about it, whatever. And, you know, my perspective changed when I got sober. My perspective has changed so much through the years, but the one thing that has stayed consistent is to always prioritize my recovery, and also to always remember that I got to put my sobriety first before everything else, or I'll lose everything else. If I'm not sober, I don't have anything. And the other thing, you know, is that I'm just as close to a drink as, because, you know, there's a saying that whoever got up earliest this morning has the most sobriety, because we just have today. We just have a daily reprieve. And that I have to remember that I'm just as close to a drink today as I was 28 and a half years ago, you know? That if things start going wrong in my life, like, a drink might sound like a solution to me, and I might take to that solution, and then I lose everything. I've seen it happen to many of my friends, where they convince themselves, I can have just one, and then one ends up, you know, being, you know, chronically addicted to alcohol, marijuana, pills, cocaine, whatever, all over again, you know, and it breaks my heart, and they lose their families, their marriages, their kids, their jobs within 6 months. I've seen it happen with people that had double-digit years of sobriety, 20 years of sobriety. I've seen that happen, you know? And so I have to remember that I'm just as close to the drink as I was 28 and a half years ago. I can't ever forget that. So we went to the meeting. The meeting was great. We met a couple new people. This girl that was sitting, like, right across from us, she had not much time, and she shared something, and, like, I'm not going to share it, obviously, because it's anonymous, but, like, I so related to her story that she shared. It so reminded me of, like, me back in the day, like, willing to do anything, basically, to drink. And so when the meeting was over, I, like, reached across the table at her, and I said, oh my God, I loved your share. I said, I so related to it. And she goes, I loved your share. I want to be your best friend. Can we be friends? I was like, yes. She was real sweet. And Tanya's like, did you give her your number? Did you give her your number? She wants to be your friend. You need more friends. I'm like, okay, Tanya, I get it. I need more friends. Because Tanya's always like, you need to reach out and make more friends and stuff like that, right? So anyway, the garage door is going up. Okay, I'm gonna go out, move outside, and finish the vlog outside, and I will see you guys in just a second. Okay, I'm back on the front porch, and I'm back. Did you miss me? You're like, no, Peter, you were just here 2 seconds ago, or 1 second ago. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the meeting. So after the meeting, that was great. And Tanya had gotten a fountain pop before she picked me up. Rude, don't you think? I was like, so I had brought a Diet Coke with me, which was okay. But I was like, I want a fountain pop so bad. So when we were on our way to the pool, but we were picking up lunch first, I said, can you pull into the gas station so I can get a fountain pop, please? She's like, yeah, can you get me a big water? So and then she's like, I'm going to order food from Sam's. Sam's is this place that we love. It's like a local restaurant here. There's one by us, there's one by Tanya, there's like 5 of them here in Indianapolis. And it's so funny because we used to go there after our meetings on Tuesday night when it was like a big group of us. And I was like, today I was like trying to remember, this was before I was a vegetarian, but I would always get this sandwich and I was trying to remember what it was called. And I go, oh, because Tanya, so when you go to Sam's, like if you get like an entree, I got a grilled cheese sandwich and fries today because I was like, Tanya was like, are you sure you don't want it? Because I said I don't want anything. She was like, are you sure? And I was like, I'm starting to kind of get sick of piata, to be honest with you. Like, it still sounds good to me, but like then when I'm eating it, I'm like, this is not as good as it was. So like, I'm trying to kind of take some days from piata here and there, you know? And so I was like, well, maybe I'll eat now and then I won't eat later. And so I said, yeah. And she was like, what do you want? I said, how about a grilled cheese and some fries? And she was like, okay. So she got a salad. And when she got a salad, she got a piece of, they have like this coffee cake that you get at Sam's if you order from there, right? So she got this coffee cake and it had powdered sugar on it. And they make it like homemade there, I think. And I said, we were sitting by the pool. So we picked up her lunch and we took it to the pool, and then I changed into my suit at the pool, and so we were sitting out there. It was so much fun to eat lunch by the pool. And we got there about, I think it was like 1:55 or something like that. We got to the pool and it wasn't super crowded today, and this was at her pool, the one that I used to have the membership at too. And I said, so today I used the guest pass of Tanya James like I did the other day. And I said, do you remember what that sandwich was that I used to get? It was like ham and cheese, and then it was like kind of like in dough. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, don't you remember that like sandwich that I used to get? And it was like ham and cheese. And she goes, oh, it was deep fried. And I go, yeah, and it had powdered sugar on it. She goes, no, I don't remember what that was called. And I go, it was called something that was like a name for something else, like a common name or like a book or movie. I can't remember. I called it something like a Tom and Jerry or something like that. So anyway, I said, this is going to drive me crazy. Well, then we went into the pool, and so I go, this is going to drive me crazy. So I got out of the pool, and I Google searched deep fried ham and cheese with powdered sugar, and it came up right away, Monte Cristo, which I'm sure many of you are shouting at the camera right now. And I was like, yes, a Monte Cristo sandwich. I used to get those all the time at Sam's, and I loved it. But anyway, I don't eat ham anymore, so I can't get a Monte Cristo sandwich. But anyway, so we went to the pool, and then her husband Eric came up about, I don't know, 20-30 minutes after we were there. So we hung out in the pool with him, and we just like do laps. We like walk up and down the pool. We just like talk and gossip the whole time. It's so much fun. And so then at about 4 o'clock, we were like laying out. She was laying out, and I was sitting in a chair just kind of like sunning like this. I do feel like I got a little bit of sun on my face today though. And she was like, do you want to leave here soon, like when we dry off? Or she said, or do you want to stay here till like 6 and then Alex can run by here and pick you up on his way home? And I said, well, I don't think I want to get home that late, because I knew if I got home that late I wouldn't want to I wasn't going to film any videos at all, and I ended up filming this Peter Monn video, a video for my Peter Monn channel. But I knew I wanted to vlog today, and I was like, if I get home that late, I'm not going to want to vlog because I'm going to be so tired. And I was like, well, I don't want to get home that late. I said, but Tanya, I don't mind taking an Uber home if you want me to get an Uber. She's like, you're not going to take an Uber. She was like, well, I just don't want to get caught in 5 o'clock traffic. So she's like, I'd rather leave now or stay till 6 o'clock so I don't get caught in 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock traffic. And I was like, I totally understand that. So she started getting her stuff and getting together, and I wasn't even dry yet. But I just sat on a towel in her car. So anyway, we listened to music the whole way home, mostly Lauryn Hill. That strumming my face with his fingers, you know that song. Anyway, my neighbor's across the street. She's out there looking at her garden real seriously. Just doing inventory on her garden, surveying all of it. She's going way back there. Anyway, so yeah, so then she brought me home, and I got home, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make, hey! Did you just have pickleball?
I was playing hockey.
Shut up. Hey!
Got that toilet unstuck, huh?
Got my toilet unstuck.
What was the problem with it?
I don't know.
Maybe you filled it up too much.
You know what? They think they're so funny. Y'all think you got jokes over there, don't you? Oh, town comedians live across the street from me.
That's right. Yep. Too much in there.
Listen. She said too much in that toilet.
All that cafe patted show.
It was all that cafe patted shoe? Okay. They're not being very nice.
Everything's okay.
I'm glad it is too.
Then you'll relax and that's happy.
I still have to call a plumber for our sink, so I'm gonna have them look at I'm gonna have them look at the toilet too.
You have a problem with the sink?
Yeah, I'll tell you about it later. So anyway, so I came home, and I wasn't gonna film a video for that channel, and then I thought, well, Alex isn't home yet, so I'll film a video. But it was like outside, they were doing a bunch of yard work, not her, but like the guys from the maintenance company or the landscaping company or whatever. They were like trimming the edge of the yard, and I didn't want to sit out here and do it, so I did it in the bedroom instead, and it was a lot cooler in the bedroom too. So I filmed a video upstairs in the bedroom next to little Boo Radley for my Peter Monn channel, and then yeah, and then I came down and I started rendering that and just uploaded it while you guys were watching. And then Alex I knew he was getting off at 6, so I was like, I'm gonna start vlogging now, so that I will be done vlogging before long. And then I think I'm gonna take a nap because I'm like really, really tired. Really tired. I don't know. I'm gonna try to take the medicine again tonight and see if it works tonight better than maybe I have to take it more than once for it to work. I don't know. Did not, again, receive any return phone calls from the hospital, and in all honesty, I was going to call today and check in with the number that my dad had given me, the contact, but I was at the pool all day, and I was at the meeting and stuff like that with Tanya, and we were just so relaxed and whatever, and I thought, I don't want to get myself hyped up with this, so I'm going to call tomorrow. Before I have a hair appointment tomorrow, and then Caroline is picking me up from my hair appointment, and then we're gonna have cousin fun day. I've only got like, I want to go to Crumble Cookies to get cookies to review, and I don't even know what else to do other than that. There's like little baby bunnies that are like in one of these hostas, because I see them run back and forth like every once in a while. Well, I showed you the bunny the other day, but I've seen other ones like run back and forth. I think they're other ones, so they must be like living in the hostas or something, which is kind of cute, don't you think? But I don't have a lot to do tomorrow, so unless Caroline wants to go get something to lunch, but even if we do the pool for, you know, an hour or something like that, still be nice. So now I've got that Lauryn Hill song stuck in my head. Somebody said, I asked the other day, like, how do you get a song unstuck from your head? And they said if you play it all the way through once and listen to the song all the way through, then you'll get it, like, unplugged from your head. I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to definitely try that. They play good music at the pool. They're playing, like, all kinds of old stuff today, and they're playing Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dancer. I love that song so much. Do you guys like that song? I do. We don't have any other shows to watch tonight, so I don't know what I'm gonna. Well, I still got 4.5 episodes. Oh, that was I watched like the first 10 or 15 minutes of the second episode of Lincoln Lawyer last night too. I think I watched that before I watched The Last Call. Somebody mentioned on here that they read the Silo books, or the books that the show Silo is based on. I think the whole series is called Wool or something like that. And so it was so interesting because I was looking up something. Okay, so this is my question to you. For those of you that have read the book Low Country Boil by Susan Meyer, or whatever her name is, that's the book for Peter's Book Club. Have any of you listened to it on Audible? And if you listened to it on Audible, did you like the Audible version? And which version did you listen to? Because they have one that was released several years ago, and then they have a new one that they just released in May. I have the old one, but if the new one is better, I want to get the new one. So I don't, the old one isn't even listed under, hey, you've been going to the pool a lot.
Yeah, I was just reading. I got too hungry, so I called it quits.
What are you reading?
It's the third book of the girl with the dragon tattoo. The girl who kicked the hornet's nest.
Oh yeah?
Good.
Is it good?
Yeah, they're really good. You should read them.
Your dress is cute.
No, it's not.
It is. It's real cute.
You're being kind, but thank you.
It is cute. She had a cute little summer pool dress on. She's like, you're being kind. I'm like, no, it's cute. So what was I going to say? I don't even remember what I was going to say now. Guess it doesn't really matter, does it? Oh, so I was looking. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you guys. I already said that. I don't know which one to listen to, but I don't have a problem buying another one. I can return that one if I want to on Audible. I never return books on Audible, so I can return that one and buy the new one if that narration is better. But the other thing is that when you go to the author on Audible, the new one is listed, but the old one isn't, and I don't know why that is. So I want to support the author. So if she's like, if like the only one she supports is the new one, I don't know why I have the old one. I don't know like if she updated it or whatever. But I will tell you what's weird is the old one is like 10 hours and 58 minutes, and the new one is like 11 hours and 20 some minutes. I don't know if it's they read a half an hour of the next book at the end of it, or why the new version is a half an hour longer. I have absolutely no idea. I'm very confused about it. So, can somebody please explain that to me? So anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh, but while I was looking on Audible, I think it's on the bestseller list, was the first book in the Silo series, and there's 4 books. But the first one is like super long, like 15 or 16 hours. For me, that's a really long book, audiobook. I know Mel's laughing right now if she's watching this, because whenever we like pick audiobooks pick books for a true crime book club, I'm always like, girl, that book is way too long. We're not doing that book. Because she'll pick a book and it'll be like 19, 18 hours. I'm like, no, girl, that book is way too long. There's no way I can read that. So anyway, but I think the first one is like, oh, because Tanya was asking me today, she was like, have you read this Covenant for Water, which has been on the bestseller list for like 5 or 6 weeks. I've seen it on the Audible bestseller list. She's like, have you read that yet? And I said no. And she said, well, Oprah's like really pushing it, and somebody else is really pushing it too. I can't remember who she said, but she's like, yeah, Oprah said it's like the best book and whatever. And I said, no, but I've heard about it and I've seen it on Audible. And she goes, are you going to read it? And I go, no, it's 31 hours. And she goes, have you ever listened to a book that long? I go, no. I said, though, I tried to listen to Helter Skelter and I couldn't even get into that many hours of it. So Helter Skelter is about 30 hours long, I think. Maybe even less than that. So no, I'm not listening. She goes, well, it's like 800 pages. She goes, and Tanya loves a good long book. And she's like, I think I'm going to read it. She's like, I miss reading really long books. I'm like, how about it? How about it, sister? Go read your 800 page book. There's no way I can do it. I like a shorter book. So anyway, so I don't know, I was thinking about maybe reading those Silo books. If anybody has read the Silo books and watched the Silo series, can you let me know if the first book follows exactly the first season of Silo? Because if it does, then I'll just go in and start reading the second book. I don't want to read, which is a lot shorter, by the way. It's like 10 hours. I won't read the first one. If the first one is a lot different and goes into deeper character development and stuff like that, then I will read the first one. But I love that show, so I'm kind of wanting to read the books. So I think that would be kind of fun, you know? So. Hold me closer, tiny dancer. Well, you guys, I think I'm going to get off here. And I am going to lay down and take a little bit of a nap. So this will be a little bit shorter of a vlog tonight. But I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Tuesday. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And remember these 3 very important things. 1, you can start your day over. You can start your day over whenever you want, or your week if you need to. 2, practice random acts of kindness, but shh, don't tell anyone. And 3, most importantly, make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. Like I always say, you might be putting a smile on their face, you might be cheering them up, you might be making them happier, and you might just be making their day. You don't know. And also, be kinder to one another, love one another a little bit more, and most importantly, be kinder and love yourselves a little bit more. Why? Because it all starts with you. And at first, you got to love yourself to give love to other people, right? So, make sure that you do that. It's important, okay? And I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you. Oh, and for those that want to hear it, and those that need to hear it, and those that just happen to stick around, one more I love you. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you. Happy birthday, Lena.